we are both obsessed with stories. And I have another friend named Anuba who was also obsessed with stories, and we were all talking about these things at the same time and thinking about how we could help other people to take their stories and bring them to broad audiences, and also take all of the stories that we have within us and bring them to broad audiences in a way that is change-making itself, but also entertaining, that also pushes forward conversations that I think our society struggles to move forward. And we've been doing that sort of work for a long time in another space, and we're really excited to put our creative energies together for something new.
And so what are the types of stories that you're hoping to tell?
Yeah, I mean, Above the Palace is meant to be a creative ecosystem for storytellers of all mediums. And so we really want to cross over. We want to work both in the screen-based industries, doing television and film production, but also doing stage and multidisciplinary performance. So as a multidisciplinary artist and an art maker, I spent the better part of the last 15 years working across all mediums. And I really think some of the most exciting art can be ones that translate both on screen and on stage as installation, but also as digital work as well.
And some of those stories are already underway and at a time when TIFF is happening. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, very exciting. Our first project, which is a short called Aftercare, directed and written by Anuba Momin.
You're disappointed. Say what you mean, Jamie.
It's going to have its world premiere at TIFF. We could not ask for a better debut for our company. And that's a story that's really about communication and relationships. And so without giving away too much, it is a short. It is about the relationship between a babysitter and her charge years after their babysitting charge relationship has ended. They have a chance meeting, and in that chance meeting have the opportunity to reconnect with one another. And the assumptions that they make about one another when they are trying to reconnect leads to a difficulty in their communication, which I think is something a lot of us can relate to right now. I mean, much through social media, there's always assumptions about what does this really mean? To see it on screen with two people who are really right next to each other, it was really quite something. And we had a brilliant cast and a brilliant crew. We had a lot of fun making it, and I hope it resonates with audiences in the way that it was intended to.
Yeah, and Anuba wrote such a tender script. And I think when we first read the script, we were like, well, this is something that has to be made. This is something that there's an audience for. It's a story about reconnection. It's a story about rematriation. And Anuba always says that aftercare is something that happens when everyone says yes. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to bring together a lovely, diverse group of filmmakers and technicians, folks that were veterans in the industry and some folks who stepped into set for the first day. And so that project really was about creating a sort of creative community and planting the seeds for future projects to come.
And I know you mentioned that you're creative partners in writing a book, in founding BLM Canada. Are you hoping to bring some of that activism into the stories that you tell as well?
Absolutely. I think you'll see our principles, our ethics represented throughout everything that we make. It may be a little bit less obvious, but it's always going to be there. And whether it's in the story itself or how we're making the story. On Aftercare, we were so proud that many of the crew told us that it was the best set they've ever worked on. We wanted to make sure, often there's this idea that when you make a short, that a lot of people should work for free, and especially if they are below the line, that they should, pay their dues or something like that. And we do not want to replicate these sort of behaviors in our space in the industry.
before even co-founding BLM Canada, I was an artist. I was a working artist. And being a working artist in a city like this, you have to learn how to advocate for yourself, unfortunately. And I've had so many experiences as an art maker of disenfranchisement, of having to like fight to like get some of the more basic respect and dignity. And so when we were creating this this company and this business and this production ethos in many ways, it was really important for us to bring all of those principles, as Sandy mentioned, but creating a workplace that people want to work with. Creating a workplace that values the human, creating a workplace that values the contributions and the labor of everyone, and a workplace that's speaking to current issues and has really the pulse on culture.
For young people who might be watching this and maybe just getting into school or figuring out that they want to work in entertainment or a creative industry, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oftentimes you kind of get lost on who you are and what your magic sauce is. And there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things, and it can be very easy to sort of look at someone else and project yourself onto them. But everybody has their own sauce. Everyone has their own special magic. And I think the more you listen to that, the more you really are attuned to who you are and what you bring to the table, the more success you'll have. So I would say, do you.
Yeah, on similar lines, I would say your best work is always going to be whatever inspires you. Yeah. Your best work is always going to be whatever inspires you. And there is so much in the arts world that tries to put you in a particular box, because there's all of this funding that might be available, but only if you fit into the world in this way. That is so stifling, and it's exhausting, and to try to fit into a box that somebody else has already created for you. I mean, what is the point of being a creative if you have to follow somebody else's rules? It might seem hard, and it might seem as though oh gosh, this isn't the most strategic thing, but I promise the most strategic thing is to work on what inspires you.